Welcome back to Creekside Chats at San Pedro Creek Culture Park. As you've seen with the previous Creekside Chats episodes, this educational series explores the many aspects that make the park what it is today: its natural environment, its flood control functions, as well as its history and culture. Today we'll hear from Kerry Averyt, Engineering, Design and Construction Manager at the San Antonio River Authority, who will be speaking about the award-winning engineering at the park, some of which you can't actually see, but it's there keeping San Antonio safe and providing a wonderful amenity for everyone to enjoy. Let's welcome Kerry Averyt.
I'm standing at the plaza at the beginning of the San Pedro Creek Culture Park. Now, this project began as a flood control project. However, the city and county leaders had a vision to create a public amenity and build a world-class linear park along San Pedro Creek. Now, we're widening and deepening the channel throughout the 2.2-mile stretch of the project. However, we're also creating an amenity, and we're creating something that the public can come and use and enjoy. Behind me is this inlet shaft for the tunnel under San Pedro Creek. There's a 24-foot diameter tunnel that goes underneath San Pedro Creek to convey floodwaters from north of downtown underneath the heart of downtown, and it spits the water out so that it can continue south towards the San Antonio River. We've dressed up the inlet structure to make it look nicer. There's a work of art on it, and that's one of the things we're doing along here is instead of just engineering, we're marrying art with the engineering on the project. So I'm standing in front of the inlet structure for the tunnel. Now, all of the flow from north of this structure goes into the tunnel. So to create flow downstream of the tunnel inlet, we put in a pump station. Approximately 30 feet below me are two big pumps that take turns pumping water back up to the surface. The water you see flowing behind me, as well as a couple of outfalls downstream, provide the flow that's downstream of the tunnel inlet down to the point to where the tunnel inlet puts water back into the channel. So next to flood control, the second most important goal of the San Pedro Creek project is water quality improvements. And one of the best ways that we can do that is with building low impact development features or lid features. I'm actually standing in a lid feature right now. We use bioretention cells and we use bioswales to capture the storm water, especially the water that's running off the street, and filter it through natural media that removes a lot of the contaminants, especially the contaminants that come from cars like hydrocarbons. It cleans the water up very well before it actually goes down into the creek channel. This swell right here captures a lot of the water, everything that comes from the street, and it'll run it through the filter, and there's an underdrain system that spits it out below the surface of the water. Now, there are two other ways that we improve the water quality on the San Pedro Creek Culture Park. Another way is through aquatic plantings. You can see some in the channel here. Those aquatic plantings remove the nutrients from the water that help promote the growth of algae and helps control algae growth in the water. There's a third way we do it, and that's with mechanical devices called CDS units. CDS stands for Continuous Dynamic Separation. These units will take water in from the street level through an inlet, and it causes a swirling motion inside the structure, and the centrifugal forces help pull a lot of the trash like water bottles and plastic sacks out of the water. There's also a screen at the bottom of the unit that will remove a lot of the finer stuff like sediment and smaller pieces of debris from the water. That debris settles to the bottom of the unit, and then maintenance crews can come in and very easily from the surface put in a vacuum hose and suck the trash out from that unit. I'm standing just downstream of the first of 3 Crest control gates that will be constructed on the San Pedro Creek Culture Park. Now, these gates are not for flood control, but rather to impound water and improve the aesthetics on the creek. This gate impounds water back approximately 1,500 feet all the way back to the beginning of the project. And it's really meant to improve the interaction between park users and the water. Now, whenever it rains, sensors will detect a rise in the water level in the creek, and they'll send a signal to the gate, and then the gate will automatically lower. Ultimately, it'll lower all the way down so that it will not impede flow for a 100-year rain event. Now, the water falls approximately 6 feet in this particular gate. Anytime you can have water fall like that, it helps put oxygen into the water and improve the water quality. And the engineers also use that gravity fall to create another feature on the creek. Along the west bank in this section, they created an artificial acequia to acknowledge the history of acequia use for irrigation and drinking water in the San Antonio and Bexar County area. One of the challenges that the design engineers faced while we're doing construction on the later segments of the project was to keep water in the open part of the park and also keep it recirculating, but keep water away from the downstream segments under construction. Right now I'm standing on top of the tunnel maintenance shaft. It's about a 25-foot diameter shaft that goes straight down 150 feet to the tunnel, and it's here for future maintenance purposes if we need to put personnel or equipment down into the tunnel to do repairs or cleaning. The engineers worked with the Corps of Engineers, and we were allowed to core a hole into the side of the maintenance shaft that allows water that's pumped into the channel from the beginning of the project to go back into the tunnel below me. That way we can keep water recirculated and keep it fresh, and also keep the downstream segments dry while they're still under construction. Once we've constructed all 2.2 miles of the San Pedro Creek Culture Park, we will contain the 100-year floodplain completely within the channel. Now we'll reduce the floodplain by approximately 30 acres to do that. That makes those 30 acres of property developable and also reduces insurance rates for those property owners. More importantly, it improves safety for the public. By reducing the floodplain and containing it within the channel, we don't have any flooded street crossings, we don't have flooded properties that might create safety hazards for the public.
You can view this video and other virtual series on our Facebook page or our website at spcculturepark.com. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.